Good evening, I'm Daniel Zivian.
And I'm Sophie Christensen.
If you will, cast your mind back to September 8th. The University of Michigan at Dearborn announced that they would hold virtual cafes to discuss social justice issues. Unfortunately, the Center for Social Justice and Inclusion chose to separate the cafes by race.
And if you think that sounds post-apocalyptic, check out the University Ivy League rejects at Ann Arbor. Over the span of a week, this prestigious university went from COVID hotbed to COVID hotbed that seizes the means of production. Before we go on, I'd like to say that tonight we won't be resorting to the usual playground insults like Ann Arbor is a whore. She isn't a whore, but she might have COVID. We don't know because she can't get tested.
We really should have seen this coming back in March when U of M waited a week after MSU to suspend in-person classes. Such a little brother move, am I right? And as September crept closer, it became clear the university wasn't changing its plan for hybrid classes that it had laid out in June. And people were not happy. Among the dissenters was the Graduate Employees Organization, or GEO, and it turns out you shouldn't piss off a bunch of graduate students who already spent summer days protesting in Detroit and then getting Shake Shack.
Unlike our other content, this time we interviewed real people. We had the pleasure of interviewing students at U of M who were brave enough to speak out against the suits.
The school, honestly, even in March, the school was pretty late to shut things down. There were plenty of schools that were already like, hey guys, this is probably not safe, you should go home. And UMich waited until the 11th or something, and then everyone went home. We had a weekend to adjust, and then we came back for online school. And I think back then there wasn't even really a comprehensive testing plan or anything like that. They would kind of just test faculty as needed and stuff like that. But then when we decided to come back for fall, and Schlissel was like, here's the plan, guys. There wasn't really a plan.
A lot has happened, but starting in March, they called off school like all the other schools. It was after spring break. At that point, I didn't even think COVID was a big deal yet because we hadn't had any active cases, and our government, really downplayed it. Again, my opinion, but I also think pretty obvious there. So they called off school. We went all the way online in quarantine. A lot of us who were being safe about it, just sticking together and doing our work and finishing off the school year.
Although there was a possibility of classes being fully online, U of M thought they were built different.
I've heard, and also from what I've seen with my Japanese class, all the classes now are moving into big auditoriums, even if the class size is 20 people. They're in larger auditoriums to fit 10 times the amount that it can fit, I guess. And then the seats are spaced out, so they have markers and stuff saying don't stay here, and each is at least 6 feet apart.
In-person classes, they're either online or a hybrid format, and I do have several that are technically hybrids, though most of them have been meeting virtually until this point. However, this past week, the seniors at Stamps, you can take something called IP, which is the equivalent of a capstone project.
Having the worst administration wasn't a competition, Michigan, but hey, if you want it, we'll happily take the L on this one.
I think Schlissel started sending out emails about towards the end of summer, announcing, reopening plans and stuff. And in my opinion, a lot of it was very not transparent, and it seemed like all schools I was noticing, they were just flying, by the seats of their pants, which partly is fair because I get, again, this is unprecedented, the common word used for all this.
Goodness, it seems like the U of M quarantine housing makes Hub Nasty look like the Four Seasons hotel rooms.
The gross part about it was just no one has been in that room, said isolation room, for since March, and so it's been very dusty, and at least it's COVID free, at least I hope. It was kind of I didn't feel safe going and stuff because I still felt safer within the dorms.
Oh, it's horrible. I think that the quarantine housing is one of the dorm buildings that we have on campus. It's actually pretty close to where we live, but it's the smallest dorm building on campus, and it already has a reputation for being disgusting. Yeah, and so what I've heard is that I don't know if it's ambassador people or the teams equipped to handle COVID at our school or whatever, or who comes to get the students who have to be quarantined, but I've heard that they'll just bust in their dorm room and be you have 15 minutes to pack for a 2-week quarantine, go.
That the conditions were really bad, and once you get a positive test for Corona that you have to go live there for 2 weeks. And apparently it's like really dingy, and they don't give you enough money for food and etc. And it's pretty miserable, I've heard, but I honestly don't know anyone who's gone to one of those or anything like that.
So I'm a student at the University of Michigan, and I recently tested positive for COVID, and our university is requiring everyone who tests positive to quarantine in these empty apartments. And I'm making this video to share with you what it's like up here. We were given almost no supplies. We were given no food, no masks, no gloves, no microwave, no bed sheets, no soap, no cleaning supplies, nothing. Except we were given one roll of toilet paper, single ply. Oh, and did I mention there's a roach infestation as well? Our saviors in all of this have been the students of the Graduate Employees Organization, who have been gracious enough to donate their leftover food and supplies to us for the last couple days. Because while all of this is happening, the Graduate Employees Organization has issued its first strike against the university since 1975 for failing to keep students safe from COVID. So I challenge our university's president, Mark Schlissel, to spend just one night in one of these quarantine apartments and let us all know what you think.
The students and faculty are reasonably upset and have started protesting and going on strike.
Their demands have not been met to what they would like, but essentially talks are over now. And Michigan essentially just shut down their strike and said, no, we're gonna do a little bit of what you want, but not all of what you're asking for. We're not gonna make an actual real difference.
I respect the strike. A lot of my friends that I went to school with are now grad students here, and the conditions that they were informed that they were going to receive weren't actually the conditions they were either living in or were experiencing when coming back to school.
Look, Michigan, we know MSU isn't the model of disease prevention. We've still got a lot of cases to worry about, and East Lansing is a bit of a cesspool. But our school and administration are doing a lot better than we expected. And I'm not gonna lie, we expected a lot more from U of M.
Yeah, we're communications majors and we've got a better hold on it.
All jokes aside, though, we stand with the students at U of M and sympathize with their current situation. It's hard enough to be a college student during a global pandemic, and feeling like your administration has failed you isn't a good feeling. It's frustrating. Trust me, MSU students can sympathize.
But hey, you know what? If you ever want to take a Spartan Spit test, you are always welcome on the banks of the Red Cedar.
Thank you so much for watching the Beaumont Bulletin. Congrats for making it to the end. Now make sure you watch our best videos right here, watch our newest videos up there, and make sure you subscribe. And I guess you can hit that notification bell. I don't know what that means, but I hear people say it a lot on YouTube. Now here I am on YouTube and an end screen, and here you are watching me. What a world we live in. This is crazy. Just yeah, subscribe, dude.